Hi, folks. Once again, this is Gary Ryan on behalf of Monsu Caulfield. I'm from Organisations That Matter. And tonight we're doing session number 7 in the series as part of our Club Committee Member Professional Development Program. And it's how to use LinkedIn for the benefit of yourself and your club. So you want to have your LinkedIn profile open. And if you haven't already connected with me, search for Gary Ryan Monash. If you do that, if you just started to LinkedIn, you'll find that I will pop up pretty quickly, and please feel free to send me a connection request. So rather than follow, send me a connection request and I will accept it as part of this program. So what we're going to do is get into it. I'm going to teach you how to achieve all-star status. Now, all-star status is very American and LinkedIn is American, okay? But it relates to the way that algorithms work at the back end of LinkedIn to help you pop up better in searches, etc. There's 7 key elements that you need to be able to tick. There's 7 boxes fundamentally that contribute to those algorithms to give you all-star status. I'm going to show you exactly what they are tonight, and they're absolutely achievable, okay? And I'm going to teach you a very simple and time-efficient strategy for maintaining contact with your connections, so that, yes, for some of you, I appreciate this is another social media platform. I'm going to teach you a really efficient way to use it so that you use it effectively, get the benefit from it, but don't actually waste a lot of time on it, which you can easily do on some of these social media platforms. And this is a professional social media platform, and we'll give you some information to determine if your club, if it's worthwhile creating a club profile as an organization later on. And we'll look at the next session. So as I've said, the all-star status helps you achieve higher in rankings, and you'll notice, so I'm going to show you a lot of material from my own profile here tonight so you can sort of see how this works. On the app version on your phone, and also on the desktop or laptop version, you see you've got a dashboard there, and it gives me lots of information. I am a member of LinkedIn. From a professional sense, it is worth me doing. I'm not advocating that you go and do that necessarily, but certainly if you're ever going to be running your own business, it would be well worth that investment to get that, because it does give you access to a lot of more specific information. I'm not going to go into the depth of that information in this session, but I am going to focus on the 7 things that, just as a normal LinkedIn member, you can do to get to that all-star status. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do, so there's 7 things I'm going to teach you, is you must complete your complete your setup section. So what that is, you need to have an image. So there must be an image for you, and I'll show you why this is important. The image that you have ought to match your future career. Now, if you're not 100% sure what that future career looks like, just do a best guess. Go and maybe look at other people in LinkedIn that are in that career already. So this doesn't necessarily mean wearing a suit. You'll find lots of people wearing t-shirts and that sort of clothing attire that matches their industry, or they've got open neck shirts or whatever the case may be. But it's definitely not an image that you might be posting on Instagram, for example, unless that's related to your career type stuff, okay? So it's not a social image, it's a more professional look that will match whatever the industry that you have to be in. Please feel free to type in any questions or unmute yourself and ask some questions at any time. Smartphone photos are fine, and just to prove that, the image that I actually use is one that one of my children took when he was just 14 years of age. So that's a profile photo that you can see on your screen that one of my children took. And I do it deliberately because I do teach people how to use LinkedIn. Absolutely, yes, you can get professional photos, and I don't want to do photographers out of any business, but smartphones, cameras are good enough to take these photos. A couple of little principles: make sure the light is coming from behind the photographer. You only need the head and shoulders. LinkedIn is a slow burn strategy. It's a slow burn strategy. It's not like a big fast fire flaming and going to create lots of results. You want to get that fire nice and hot and get lots of benefit over the long term from LinkedIn. And this is the issue with LinkedIn. It's going to give you long-term benefit, which is why it's so important to set this up while you're a student and get that fire burning, get it to the coal stage, so that once you start with your career, you'll start to get some of the really big benefits, but you'll get it while you're a student too. So head and shoulders only, because you want people to be able to identify you. Once we get back to the stage where we can go and actually see people again, LinkedIn's a really powerful tool to meet at a cafe and actually identify that person walking through the door or already sitting there, that, hey, I already know them because I know what they look like. You are 14 more times to have your request to connect with someone accepted if you have a photo, because people are more likely to believe you're not a robot. Okay, so you want photos to be able to demonstrate that you are in fact a human being. So that's why you want that photo up the top. You need to complete your headline information. So you'll see at the very top where it's got your name, and you've got the option whether you want to use your pronouns or not now, and I encourage you to consider doing that. You have your headline information after that. So you can see that for me, it says, I help leaders achieve results that are great for people, great for business, and great for themselves. My new book is coming, Disruption Leadership Matters. Please connect. Now, the number of characters has grown considerably in that space. It used to be very, very limited to those 164 characters. But as you can see, it's got a lot bigger now. Not all of that will be visible to someone just scanning through. So you want to make sure the very first part of your header is there. And as you can see, I've got some suggestions on the screen. You could say things like first year business student, final year art and design student, and you're an intern at a company. So the beauty with these factors is you can see that little pencil mark up there. That means that you can edit this section, and you can edit it at any time. So if any of these categories change for you, you can actually go and edit it and update it. And I really encourage you to make sure your header is updated and matches what's going on with you at the time. Now, clearly you focus from clubs. You can put your role that you're doing at your club in your header because it looks impressive, and it is impressive, okay? So I encourage you to do that. Again, at any time, unmute, or at any time, ask a question. If you get a little bit lost, feel free to ask me what's going on. One of the important things that you need to do is you need to select your industry. So as you scroll down through that section, there's a whole bunch of information that it's asking for you to provide in terms of location, etc. Those locations are going to be important as well for when you do a lot of your searches, in terms of it'll just automatically default to your local location that comes to here. So when you change location over time, you want to definitely make sure you update that information. My industry is management consulting. That's not going to be relevant for all of you, but you just select an industry that best describes the future industry that you're planning to go into at the start of your career. And look, please don't worry about getting that wrong. If you think, oh gosh, I'm not sure if that's the right industry or not, don't stress too much. It does contribute to the algorithms and the way the searches and how things get recommended due to the number of people, which is nearing 600 million people around the globe on LinkedIn. So yes, it does have an impact, but don't stress about it. The thing is, you do need to select one, okay? So select one. There's quite a long list. It's growing all the time now. It's gotten a lot better than what it was when it first started. And I joined LinkedIn back in 2009. Now, here's something that you might not know you can do. When you scroll down to the contact section and you press the edit button, you can actually create your unique URL. You'll see that for me, I have Gary Ryan 1, but LinkedIn automatically gives you an alphanumeric name after that last slash. So that after that last slash, it'll automatically give you an alphanumeric name, okay, which has got lots of different numbers and letters in it, made up partly from your name. If you can get your name or a version of your name, maybe you need to reverse your name or something like that. Gary Ryan is actually an Irish descendant name. It's quite a common name. So even back in 2009, it had already been taken. So I just chose Gary Ryan 1, and because my connections grew to a point over time. There was no point in changing it back. So I've left it at that. But see if you can get yours. Let me know if yours is available. If you type it in and press enter, LinkedIn will tell you if it's available or not. But it's always pretty cool if you can actually get one. Because what you can do is you can add your URL, that unique URL that starts with linkedin.com/in my case, Gary Ryan 1. You can add that to your email signature or other signatures on other social media platforms if you believe it's relevant. And that means that all that has to happen is someone clicks on you and then they can see your profile and then they'll have the opportunity to connect with you. And it just looks more professional the way that URL works if you've got it in your own name. Okay, you'll notice most people haven't actually gone and done this, right? Which is one of the things holding them back from all-star status. So if you go and do this, it'll help you to get there. Okay. The second thing you need to do, so that was all part of your header section. So the second part that you need to do is list your jobs and positions. And it's okay to include all the things that I've got listed on the left there. So your club committee role, absolutely add it. Any internships, absolutely add them. Substantial volunteer roles that might be beyond your club. Now, what I mean by that is it is by a substantial volunteer role, I mean something that you do have to put quite a lot of time and effort into that you're not being paid for. Now, one of the things that we covered in the session around self-talk was I taught you about mental models, people's theories about how you believe the world works. So some people think that if you're a volunteer and you're not being paid, then it shouldn't go in your experience section. That's a mental model that isn't particularly useful. The experience section is about your experience. Now, whether you get paid or not, it's actually irrelevant. It's about what did you do? What were the skills you got to put into practice? What did you learn from doing things in the real world? So being paid is not relevant. So if you've got substantial volunteer roles, add them as a role in that section, especially when you're early in your careers, as many of you are. If you happen to get any student ambassadorships through your time at Monash University, add them. If you've got any part-time jobs, and sometimes people say, oh, it's just a job. You know, it's just a part-time job. There's no such thing as just a part-time job, because remember that first session on the big 9 employability skills, all of them will equally apply to your part-time jobs if you're willing to see your part-time job in that light. And there will be lessons and skill development that will come from it. So certainly for an early part of your career, it's worth adding in your part-time jobs. You might delete them later once you get your career started, but in the meantime, they're worth adding there and showing that there's some depth to you with your club committee role, any student ambassadorships, any part-time work, etc. A minor volunteer role, add that to the volunteering section rather than this section. So what do I mean by a minor volunteering role? It might be something that you did for 2 hours one day over the period of a year. So you just did it one day for 2 hours and that was it. That's a minor volunteer role. It may be worth adding that to your volunteer section. I wouldn't be adding that into your experience section. So you'll see you've got the dates that you can do. If any of them are current, then the second date you just leave and you check the box that says this is a current role. Again, folks, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask them at any point as we go through the session. The third skill to get to all-star status, or the third point to get to all-star status, is you need to have at least 5 skills listed that have been endorsed by someone else. This is key. You have to have the 5 skills. So you've got to go down and add the skills. You'll see that LinkedIn has a skill quiz that you can take to help you work out what skills might be relevant for you. And, definitely add in all of the computer-based type skills. So it might be using presentations, PowerPoint, Word, those sorts of things, or the Microsoft Suite, however you want to describe those skills. You get to do public speaking in your courses, so you can do that, and certainly all the different skills that you're getting to do through your club. If you're a treasurer, for example, and a president or vice president, you're going to be doing financial management, so that's a skill you can add. You know, you've got up to 50 skills that you can add. So if they're relevant for you and they're true, definitely add them, okay? Now, they're important, again, to get you to that all-star status. What I encourage you to do is, with your fellow peers on your committees, is endorse each other for the skills that you can genuinely endorse, because you have experienced those skills from your peers and fellow committee members. So endorse each other, but keep those endorsements genuine, and certainly take the LinkedIn skill quiz if you need to, if you're not sure about your skills. Now, you'll notice, and I know I'm a long way advanced of where many of you are at the moment, but you'll be surprised at how quickly you can build this up over time. You'll see that for me, leadership development has been endorsed 229 times. It says it's been endorsed by Alicia Curtis and 9 others who are highly skilled at this, which means that those people have got at least 100 endorsements themselves for the same skill, and those people have endorsed me. So once you know that, you go, okay, that means that in this instance, Gary, I can trust that Gary is good at this particular skill, and so on and so forth with the other numbers along the side there. And it also gives you some sense of people from your peers and other organizations that you've named or studied at, for example, that have also endorsed you. Again, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask me as we go through. So skills and endorsements are really important. First, you must add your skills. And then second, you must receive the endorsements. You can't endorse yourself. So the best tactic is to actually work with fellow peers on your committees, request that they endorse you. Now, a good tactic is to actually go and find your friends on LinkedIn, and for things that you can genuinely endorse them for, because you have witnessed that skill in action, endorse them. LinkedIn will ask you how you know them, and it will ask you what was your relationship with this person, okay? Because that will also contribute to LinkedIn accepting your endorsement. So be ready for that information. But that's why, if you're working on a committee together, you can endorse each other, okay? Or if you've worked together part-time with someone, potentially if you've been in study groups with people and they've actually done the work and contributed, you can endorse them too. And that's for things like, obviously, presentations, for example. But you need to have 5 skills that have been endorsed by at least one other person to contribute to your all-star status. It's absolutely doable. Again, what you might do is look at the skills of people within the industry within which you want to start your career, and have a look at their profiles and look at what skills have they got endorsed. That's another secret, if you like, to working out what other skills from the available list that I ought to consider adding to my profile. The 4th thing you need to do to get all-star status is that you need to add a summary. Now, this is going to appear at the top of your profile. Now, I've actually selected a student to show you. Now, Laura Jeffries attended a program like this several years ago. She is a Caulfield-based student and has done remarkable with her work with LinkedIn, and turned it in from that, being very, very smart about how she set up her profile. And she's got a really hot set of coals, if you like, working for her in LinkedIn. And she's not even graduated from university yet. With the profile, you initially want to aim for 3 to 4 paragraphs of information. You can see that Laura's got 3 here. Okay, I've just split it up from the photographs that I took from her profile using my phone app. Okay, and the first one, you want to introduce yourself, who you are and what you're doing. And as you can see, Laura does that exceptionally well. The second one is you want to provide some information about the value that you can provide or could provide, and this is where you might contribute some of the information. And Laura's done this in one paragraph, a big paragraph 3, about some of the things that you've actually done and achieved through your various roles that might appear in your profile. So it's a bit like the achievement section, if you like, that you might put on your resume or curriculum vitae when you're going for jobs. It's nice and compact, however. You want to summarize with paragraph 3 if you choose to split 3 and 4 into the key role contributions and any skills you can highlight. So you want to highlight the type of skills that you've got, and you'll be able to see again that Laura does that exceptionally well. Relating it back to, for example, president of the Monash Marketing Student Society role. And you want to be able to add something about yourself. And she references her Gold Duke of Edinburgh Award, as well as a Service Excellence Award for completing 750 hours of community service during her time back at Ivanhoe Girls Grammar, which is actually showing some longevity to her service. You can see, wow, okay, she was doing 750 hours worth of community service back in high school, and she's also done all these other things while she's at university. That's someone that might be going into the workforce in their low 20s, but actually has got, you know, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years worth of experience of being in the real world and taking action. That's someone that's really attractive to an organization as a new employee to come on board, that your LinkedIn profile through this summary can get that message across, okay? You want to add how to contact you only if that's relevant. Now, if you look in my profile, you will see I do have the office phone number listed there. But just be aware that if you do put contact information there, you will get spam to whatever that address, email address, etc. is. You will definitely get spam because robots are out there searching for anything that's on social media that looks anything remotely like an email address or a telephone number, and it will get added to lists and you will get spam. In the balance, I'm comfortable for that myself, which is why I do it. But for most, it's probably leave your contact information into just the contact section at the moment, okay? For me, doubling up on that's got business reasons behind it. The last point here, though, is, as you can see Laura does, is speak in the first person. Now, that means you use the word I. You'll notice I am currently in I have been involved with Monash University. You use the phrase, the word my academic results. I was recently announced 2021 Grad Connection Top 100 Future Leader and winner of the Westpac Banking, Insurance and Financial Services Award. You need to speak in the first person. LinkedIn 100% advocates that, but you'll still find most people don't. And the reason why you want to speak in the first person is because when people read your summary and see your photo, you want them to feel like they're speaking with you. You want to build that human relationship, because ultimately, while it is a social media platform for professionals, LinkedIn is actually about building human-to-human relationships in that professional context. So we want to use all of these little tools to help us achieve that. The fifth thing you need to do to get to all-star status is you need to complete your education section. You'll see that when you go to add that, you get the opportunity to definitely select on the institutions, which their logos will come up. That then contributes to the algorithms that the LinkedIn system uses to recommend people with you. And you'll also start to be able to notice that when you go to reach out and connect with people, that information can be extremely valuable due to the many, many hundreds of thousands of people, for example, if not millions now, that are graduates of Monash University that live globally, and that when you go to do your searches and connect, LinkedIn will tell you that you went to the same school as well. It will tell you. You can then use that information when you go to connect with someone that may actually otherwise be a complete stranger and say, hi, Gary, I noticed we both went to Monash University. We're at different times, but it'd be great to connect with you so I can learn more about you through your updates and posts here on LinkedIn. That strategy significantly increases the chances that the person that you're reaching out to connect with will connect with you. Absolutely follow people, but if you can in the early days, you need to be connecting with people, okay? And we'll talk about that in a second, which is right now. You need to achieve 50 plus connections, okay? That's all you need for all-star status if you're ticking all these other boxes. You need to have 50 plus connections. Definitely follow LinkedIn's steps for connecting with members that are in your contact list, particularly through your mobile device, okay? It'll actually ask for permission to scan your contact list. Anyone in there that's got an email address that's already on LinkedIn will be, it'll pop up as someone for you to connect with, and I encourage you to connect with those people, okay? Literally go through and press the connect button. They're already in LinkedIn anyway, okay? So you're not going to necessarily be following some of the other advice I'm going to show you in the second about connecting. As much as you can, if you're going to search for people, you want to personalize your request when you search for them, okay? Now, LinkedIn search functions is extremely powerful. I encourage you to search for people, particularly that are in the city and location that you're actually in at the moment. Now, the reason for this is in the short-term period, particularly when we can start to get back to seeing people face-to-face, which will be happening throughout 2022 and more as over the next period of time, we're getting more and more back to doing that sort of stuff. Sure, people will continue to connect this way, but if you can connect with people in person, being in the same location is going to increase the chances that you've got the opportunity to do that. So you might do a search for people working in a certain industry in Melbourne, Australia, for example, if you happen to be in Melbourne. Now, when it says personalize your request, if you're seeking someone out or they've been recommended to you or a search has recommended them to you, you'll see that you get an option to just click a connect button and it'll send off automatically a connection request. You've got a more button where you can select personalized invite, okay? Personalized invite. I encourage you to do that. Personalize your request to increase the chances that they'll see that you are a human being and you're not just followed the artificial intelligent prompts that LinkedIn now provides you to do that. And it actually makes it look like, because it's true, you put more effort into connecting with them. I know myself, if people have put more effort into connecting with me and they've personalized a request, I'm far more likely to accept their request, and I'm far more likely to not worry about, is this person real or not, even if they've got a photo. I'm much more likely to believe that they really are a human being by the fact that they've personalized their request. So focus on the cities and roles. Now, use secondary connection opportunities. I'm just going to close this for a sec, and I'm going to open up my browser and go to show you what it is that I'm talking about. Now, because of the sort of work that I do a lot of work with CEOs. So up in the search function, I'm just typing CEO, and then I'm going to press enter. And LinkedIn's going to generate a search for me, and it's going to tell me that I've got a whole bunch of results there. Now, notice I've got people, jobs, events, groups, posts, courses, all this sort of options I can do. I'm actually going to select on people. And then it's going to give me, retry our search. Now that, I can't remember the last time LinkedIn did that to me. Now, notice here, I've got 9,050,000 research results on CEO. But remember I said to you, I actually want to do ones that might be in Melbourne, let's say, okay? So I'm going to click Victoria, Australia, and even Melbourne, Victoria. I might go that way, show results. So remember, we had over 9 million results. Well, there's 47,000 results here in Melbourne. Now, when I look at Daniel in this case, that's a secondary connection. Now, what that means is Daniel is connected to people that I'm connected with. And this is the goal. See down here, it says, where it's got these little people icon, Daniel is actually connected. I just realized I'm not sharing that screen with you. That's a bit silly. All right, let me just show you back up the top. So I typed in CEO up the top here. I did a search. I selected people, then I selected Melbourne, Victoria. Okay, so CEO, people, Melbourne, Victoria. Apologies, folks, I was going through that and you were just seeing my head. And it's got all of these people. Daniel here is a secondary connection. So he's connected to people that are first connections with me. He's the next level away. John Michael, Kim Walker, and 8 others. Now, some of these people are connections with me, and some of them, like John Michael, I actually know really, really well. And I can click on this link here and I can see who all those other people are. And I can see that there are, in fact, a number of people on there, not just John Michael, that are, in fact, people that I know quite well. So if I reach out, if I go back and I decide to send a connection request to Daniel, I'll click on his profile, and this is the best way to do it. Rather than go connect there, I'll click on more and I'll get the option here. You can add a personalized note. So I would add that personalized note, sorry, when I click on connect. And in here, I would actually say, hi, Daniel. We've got a number of shared connections, such as John Michael and 2 of the other folk. I really look forward to learning more about you. Make this personal message about them. I'm looking forward to learning more about you and would appreciate the opportunity to join your network. Kind regards, Gary Ryan. Something like that. Now, the reason why you want to say it something like that is because you want to make it about them. Too many people on these social media platforms make it sound like it's all about me. So I'm reaching out to Daniel to connect with me and I'm saying, hey, Daniel, can you join my network? I'd love you to join my network. He's like, I don't even know who you are. Why do I want to join your network, Gary? So make it about them. Okay, it's a really key point when you're reaching out to connect with people. So again, when you're searching for people, you might put in a type of a role, for example, that's relevant to your future career. Okay, so you might think of a designer. You're a designer, so you type in designer, press enter. And we want to connect with human beings, so we're going to click on people. Now I've got 10 million results for designer for under people, but that's globally. So what I'm going to do is shorten that down to Melbourne, Victoria. In this instance, as I said, and again, I've got 63,000 results there that I can leverage. Now, why you end up with such big results and why you want to have some people that have got large networks is see how these are all secondary connections for me. Okay, they're all popped up. Now down here, this Roberto De Luca, he's a 3rd connection. So he's connected to some of my secondary connections. By having people with large networks, that increases your access to secondary connections. So this is why when you're connecting with people, try and see if you can connect with some people that have got very big networks. I'm at the moment one of those people for you. Okay, so automatically that's why you want to be connected rather than just following them. This doesn't work if you're following them. It works if you're connected to them. Okay, so this is how you can do these types of searches. Okay, now equally you can search for companies, and I'm going to teach you that it's really important to be following large companies. So you can see I typed in Amazon. I'm already following it, but then it tells me if I go Amazon and people, let's say, because let's say I wanted to work there, I can actually go and connect with these people who are working at Amazon that are secondary connections. And again, it tells me who the shared connections are. So there's Nell Kimberley. She's from Monash University, Caulfield, my favorite academic at Monash University, Caulfield. So if I use that information to help reach out and connect with people, again, it's going to significantly increase the chances and probability that those people will connect with me. Okay, so this is really important for you to do to help you get those 50 content connections to set you up. Now, when they do accept your connection request that you've personalized, send them a thank you note. Say, hi, Gary, thank you for connecting with me. Again, I look forward to learning more about you over time. Something like that. LinkedIn will give you an AI response to use. You yourself will start to know the difference between the artificial intelligence generated responses and when someone puts some genuine time and effort in. If you want people to see you as a human being, ignore the AI responses and do genuine connections. You will not regret it. This is part of the high, slow burn, hot coal benefit you will get from taking this approach. The seventh element that you have to tick in order to get all-star status is you must give and receive recommendations. Okay, a recommendation is 100 times more powerful than a skill endorsement, 100 times more powerful, because it's much more like an actual reference from someone, because again, they have to bother to spend some time to provide that recommendation for you. Now, start by recommending your fellow committee members, assuming that your recommendations are genuine due to the work that each of you have contributed to the club. When you recommend someone, they get notified. When they get notified, they get notified to accept it or reject it. Assuming they accept it, LinkedIn immediately, without you doing anything, will ask them to reciprocate. In other words, to recommend you. You'd be amazed how many times that happens. I encourage you to give recommendations. You don't have to therefore be spending so much time asking for them. That said, just like Laura has done in this example, if you've got an experienced person that you can get a recommendation from, absolutely reach out to them and ask them if they'll give you a recommendation, because it looks awesome on your profile. Now, offer to draft the recommendation for them. So in this case, Paul Loughran, he's the manager of the Department of Marketing at Monash University. That's a pretty impressive person to give a student a recommendation on LinkedIn. Now, I don't know whether Laura did this or not. Okay, this bit I don't know, but certainly when you're asking for recommendations or testimonials, most people are really busy and they genuinely might want to give you one, but they've got to stop and think about it. They don't want to get the words wrong, and it can become quite a task. Always offer to draft a version of the recommendation for the person for them to consider in recommending you, because that way, and you'll be amazed, often they will just go copy and paste, maybe change one word here or there. The recommendation is still genuine. You're just helping them help you. Okay, I encourage you to really consider doing that. Now, once you've got your profile set up, and you've got to put a little bit of time at first into doing this, right? Once you've got it set up and we've got ourselves up to that all-star status, 10 minutes per day is what I recommend you spend on LinkedIn. No more, folks, okay? Unless you're going to start posting some longer articles or posts, keep it at 10 minutes per day, okay? But be regular with it, like 10 minutes per day, and use the notification section, so you get that bell section, as the driver of your contribution to LinkedIn. So check your notifications. You know, post or comment on useful posts that people have done, those sorts of things. So you've got your recommendations. So down over here, I can see that Roseanne has made a like on my article, that a post that I'd done. And the thing is, I could equally go and see who are the people that have liked my post that I'm not connected with, that again might be secondary connections, and it might be, you know, a simple way to reach out and say, hi, Roseanne, I noticed you recently liked my post about Lenny Gwyther. We've also got secondary connections, name. It'd be great to join your network, and I look forward to learning more about you over time. Roseanne's much more likely to accept my connection request because I've made it about her. I've made it genuine. It's been me, it's been real, and it wasn't artificial intelligence. So your notifications become your lifeblood to the time that you spend. It'll tell you when people are having work anniversaries. Again, LinkedIn will have some artificial intelligence commentary that you can easily click and send off to say, congrats, Gary, on your 10th anniversary or 2nd anniversary, or whatever it is, okay? I encourage you to just change it. You know, say congratulations, use their name, add one or two other comments. Gee, that time went quickly, whatever it might be, to personalize it. Show them that you put 15 or 30 seconds into your thoughts when you reached out to them. Believe you me, it will absolutely work in your favor over time through this genuine strategy, okay? You can use the @ sign to tag people if you do a post, or if you're adding a comment to someone's post. So like most of the social media platforms now, they're @ sign with their name. LinkedIn will show you, pop that name up for you to tag people in the post, and use hashtags as well. So like, again, most social media platforms use hashtags as information. So you do often need to repost a hashtag. You're probably used to that as well. So it's the same on LinkedIn if there's a theme that you're getting running through your commentary. And that also helps the person who did the post with the algorithms for their profile and searches, etc., on LinkedIn as well. So you're really helping them. Now, absolutely, please get this message. Never, ever, 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 ever hate on LinkedIn. I don't believe you should do it anyway. Some people unfortunately do, but because you should be identifiable on LinkedIn, which I believe personally ought to be the case in all social media platforms, but that's another conversation. Because you are identifiable, and you ought to be, you want to be, this is about your brand. Do not go hating. You can disagree with people, but you've got to learn to do that respectfully, okay? If you go hating on LinkedIn, all that is going to do is drive your brand down. You will look like someone who will be too hard to work with. So please, absolutely please, do not use any hating on LinkedIn. It's very, very bad for your brand, okay? All right, as we've mentioned, Roseanne. So they're the 7 key things that you need to do in order to get to all-star status. Absolutely, as I shared before, go and follow companies that are relevant to your future career. Search for people that work for those companies in your local city and connect with them, or in cities where you believe you might be working one day. So go and do your searches and follow those companies. You can see with the example on the board there with Amazon, and I just picked that just for the sake of ease. You can see the top 2 that I'm actually following already. Now, do you need to set up a page or a company page for your club? Now, ISEC, I know, has some members that have participated in this program from a Monash University perspective. Now, that's the global page that's been set up. So some of you that are set up are aligned with some of those global type organizations. You will have some pages to set up. It might be worth asking them, is it worthwhile setting up a local chapter page? And maybe not. Or your club, it might be worth setting up that page, particularly if you know it's going to be maintained. So you absolutely need to have a committee member who will maintain it. There's no point having these things on these platforms if they cannot be maintained. And you've got to think beyond your time on the committee. Like, how do we set this up? Does it actually become an ongoing committee role as part of the social media platform that someone who gets elected in takes on that responsibility and makes sure that it gets handed over properly, gets all of the passwords, etc. So you want to make sure that that's set up properly. You got to ask the question, is there any effort? Elena, you've got a question.
Hi, sorry, Gary. I was just wondering if you're showing the PowerPoint, or because on the you're sharing your search LinkedIn search bar instead of the PowerPoint, if you've changed it.
Okay, I will go back and show. I will go back. I had changed that, so thank you for letting me know that. So are you seeing that now?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, I'll just go back then. Just go back and just double check. Okay. So that was where I was talking about Amazon before. Did you see the 10 minutes per day section?
Not the PPT, but I was listening to you.
Okay.
So that's fine. Yeah.
Oh, so you just got that that screen there as well from that action from the 10 minutes per day as well. So thank you for checking with me, Elena. Appreciate that. So again, follow. It's interesting. My screen was telling me that what I was sharing was correct, but it wasn't. So I'm really pleased that you've stuck your hand up and told me. So follow companies, again, that are relevant to your future career. And will it be maintained if you have a company page for your club? Is there value in remaining connected with your club alumni? Now, this is where LinkedIn can be really useful, because you yourself will likely become an alumni once you graduate from university. Now, that might help with sponsorship in terms of in-kind services, for example, or it might even be financial services if you've got some club members that end up being really successful and have some spare cash. They might throw it your club's way if you're still connected with them and you've been trying to give them some alumni value over time. I understand, of course, current students are your focus, but this is something to consider that actually helps create a more sustainable system potentially for your club that you'll feed into yourself over time. And it helps both yourself and your club's network get bigger and stronger over time. So these are some questions to consider about setting up a company page, and they're generally pretty easy to do. Of course, is there any other social media platform that's already doing that for you? And that there may well be. It may already be doing it well. There may be no need in actually doubling up with LinkedIn. But again, some of the benefits of LinkedIn being a professional platform. Now, I've had some folk that are in the arts, for example, and they've said to me, well, LinkedIn's about professional people. I'm not sure of the relevance for the arts. Well, who goes and watches the arts? Who's in the audience? Who pays a lot of money for the arts? It's people with money who are often professionals. So they might be your audience potentially, and LinkedIn's a link into who your audience means. So you might have your professional networks within the arts themselves, but actually LinkedIn might be the connection to people that might be customers or experiences of your art. So, just thinking outside the box a little bit from that perspective. It's not just suits and ties by any stretch of the imagination regarding people on LinkedIn. So there you have it. There's the 7 key steps for you to get to all-star status using LinkedIn. We've had a little conversation around how to actually leverage your 10 minutes per day. And I really recommend, once you've gotten set up, you don't need any more than that, as well as some questions to consider about setting up a club page if you choose to do so. Our final session is on Monday, the 20th of September, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. It will be around feedback, both how to give it, receive it, and why you should be collecting it on a personal level. And we'll also talk about on a club level to some degree. So we'll be talking about getting that personal feedback, which is often really challenging and difficult, which would also contribute to some amazing stories relating to the big non-employability skills when it goes to interviews. And if you were to go and put into practice what I'm going to teach you next Monday evening, I can promise you that will be a jaw-dropping experience for people interviewing you, and really highlight how brave you are and how experienced you already are, and someone therefore to hire to their company. So you'll understand how to respond when you are provided with feedback. You'll understand the 3 types of feedback that you will receive personally and as a club, and understand again why you should be collecting feedback. And you've got the information there, as well as the calendar invite for those of you that have signed up for that. Once again, thanks a lot for coming along. I'm Gary Ryan from Organisations That Matter on behalf of Monsu Caulfield. It's always a pleasure to be here with you, and I look forward to working with you next time.